not be bringing you our usual weather report for Hong Kong, as the weatherman is down with the Sioux City flu.
Okay, buddy, take me to Cuba.
I got rhythm.
Turn On sounds like the kind of show that should have become a cult favorite first and a disaster story later. It came from the same creative neighborhood as Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, had Tim Conway standing at the front of its first episode, and arrived right when television was trying to look younger, stranger, and a little more rebellious. But this was not just another failed comedy that quietly vanished after bad ratings. This one made local stations panic while it was still on the air. Some viewers thought it was dirty. Some executives thought it was unwatchable. Some later defenders thought it was simply born too early. If you'd been watching that night, would you have changed the channel, complained, or kept watching just to see how strange it could get? Today, we're talking about the famous ABC show that became a TV punchline by getting canceled during its first episode. Laugh-In Fever. By early 1969, television comedy had already started loosening its tie. Laugh-In had made quick cuts, catchphrases, blackout sketches, and political jokes feel fresh. It looked noisy, fast, and young compared with the safer variety shows that had filled living rooms for years. That success gave producers George Schlatter and Ed Friendly a lot of room to experiment. Their next idea was Turn On, a sketch show that seemed to ask, what if Laugh-In lost the guardrails completely? ABC was willing to gamble. The show even had Bristol Myers behind it as a sponsor, and the plan was not some tiny one-night experiment. Turn On was meant to launch as a real series, not a prank. The first episode replaced Peyton Place for the Night, which already made it feel like a jolt. Tim Conway even joked about that in the opening, calling it Peyton Replace. That was the friendliest moment viewers were going to get. Computer comedy.
He's a dull person. He ignores me. Days we don't speak a word to each other. He's rude. He's vulgar. He has other women. I know it. He beats me.
Why don't you leave him?
Oh, I know I should. And I would, except woman needs love.
Turn On billed itself as a computerized TV show, which sounded futuristic in 1969. The idea was that a computer was generating the jokes, the timing, and the weird little bursts of comedy. There were no cozy sitcom rooms, no nightclub-style host, and no laughing audience to reassure anyone. The backdrop was mostly white, almost clinical, and the jokes flew by in quick fragments. Sometimes the screen split into boxes like a moving comic strip. The sound was unusual too. Instead of a normal laugh track, the show used electronic noises and Moog-style bleeps to suggest mechanical laughter. To modern eyes, that sounds oddly familiar, almost like internet comedy before the internet existed. But for a family watching ABC in primetime, it could feel cold and aggressive. The comedy leaned heavily on sex jokes, strange images, and shock value. The show did not invite viewers in, it threw things at them. Cleveland Cuts Out.
It aired first in New York, and we had a opening party out here at a hotel, and we were waiting for the reviews. As it came across the country, it was being canceled. It got canceled in New York, and when it got to Ohio, they shut it off after 15 minutes. I mean, they didn't even let it go the whole half hour.
The most famous part of the story happened in Cleveland. WEWS-TV began airing Turn On, then refused to return after the first commercial break. Instead of finishing the episode, the station filled the remaining time with a black screen and live organ music. Station manager Donald Paris was furious. He contacted ABC and sent a telegram that became part of television folklore. Quote, "If your naughty little boys have to write dirty words on the walls, please don't use our walls. Turn On is turned off as far as WEWS is concerned. You tried too hard." The station said callers were already protesting during the first 10 minutes. Whether the phone lines were truly exploding or just loud enough to scare management, the message was clear. Cleveland wanted out. Not every nearby station reacted the same way. Akron's ABC affiliate aired the whole thing, but the damage was already spreading. Once one station had publicly rebelled, Turn On was no longer just a strange new program, it was a network problem. The Revolt Spreads.
So, like, yeah, the station manager called and said, "Get that off." I mean, a guy who plays an organ in case the station blows up hadn't played in 20 years. And it came, by the time it got to California, it was off. So we had the coming out party and the cancellation party, very economical because it was all in one evening, and gone.
Because of the time zones, stations farther west had a chance to hear what happened before airing the show. Some decided they did not want any part of it. Affiliates in places like Seattle, Portland, and Denver declined to show it. Other stations had already been nervous. Memphis had reportedly refused the program before the premiere because it did not meet its standards for that hour. Dallas pushed it to a later Sunday slot where the response was still awful. Critics were not much kinder. The common complaint was not only that Turn On was rude, it was that the show seemed to mistake speed and shock for wit. That distinction mattered. Audiences could handle edgy comedy when they felt there was a joke underneath. ABC quickly realized the affiliate revolt made the series almost impossible to continue. A network show needed stations willing to carry it. Turn On had managed to lose that support before most viewers in America even had the chance to form an opinion. ABC hits the switch.
It's all in the family, the King family.
2 days after the debut, ABC announced that Turn On was going on hiatus. The next planned episode, with Robert Culp and France Nguyen, never made it to the air. By February 10th, the show was formally canceled. ABC filled the slot with a movie first, then later used a revival of the King family show. That replacement almost sounds like a punchline by itself. After half an hour of experimental shock comedy, the network ran back towards something much safer. The strange part is that Turn On did not simply fail because nobody had talent. Tim Conway became one of TV's most beloved comedians. Teresa Graves would soon join Laugh-In. Albert Brooks was among the writers. The ingredients were not amateur. The problem was the recipe. Turn On stripped away almost every comfort that made viewers accept strange comedy. No warm host, no live laughter, no clear rhythm, no familiar room, just fast jokes, risky material, and a feeling the show was smirking at the audience rather than performing for it. The myth remains. For years, Turn On became the show people described more than watched. It sat in TV history as the program supposedly canceled during its own first episode, even though the full reality is a little messier. One station cut away, others refused it, and ABC killed the series within days. The messy truth is actually more interesting. It shows how much power local affiliates had in 1969. ABC could put a show on the schedule, but the stations had to face their own viewers, advertisers, and community standards. The surviving footage later became a curiosity. Some pieces now look tame. Other pieces still feel rough, ugly, or wildly misjudged. That mix is part of why the story refuses to die. Turn On was not just ahead of its time, and it was not simply terrible. It was a risky idea delivered with almost no safety net. Tim Conway later suggested it may have been too far ahead of its time, then joked that perhaps its time still had not arrived. That might be the fairest summary. Turn On tried to predict the future of television, but it did it in a way that made 1969 reach for the off switch. Now it's time to hear from you. If you'd been watching Turn On the night it aired, do you think you would have found it bold, offensive, funny, or just completely confusing? Let us know in the comments section below.